Hello and welcome to Odds Serie A Matchday 34, and we already see Dani Fisichella with the Inter t-shirt, with la maglietta del Inter, Dani, only missing the second star.
That's gonna get sold next season because Inter now, of course, are champions. I'm celebrating the champions of Italy, which they wanted in style. I mean, winning in the derby against the second team in the league, six consecutive win in the derby for Inter, and now it's going to be a long party for Inter the next 5 games. But Serie A, of course, season finished. There's still a lot of challenges, a lot of races to qualify in Europe. We got 5 teams now, but who's going to finish 5th? And of course, to avoid the relegation.
Well, we saw also Bologna winning at the Olimpico. A lot to talk about. We have Coppa Italia final already. It's going to be Atalanta, Juventus. But Dani, first of all, congratulations, of course. Well-deserved Scudetto for Inter. Only 1 defeat this season at home against Sassuolo. It's been a brilliant season. The only pity was the game at the Metropolitano, of course, yes. But credit to Inzaghi. Well, Dani, let's analyze all the games. As always, remember to subscribe to our channel, leave your comments, and now let's go on with the show. We have a kickoff, a game on Friday evening, Frosinone Salernitana. Very, very important for the local team because it's the great opportunity to leave the bottom 3, 28 points, same points as Udinese. They grab a draw in Torino, 4 consecutive draws. For Frosinone, if you have to win a game, Dani, you want to meet Salernitana.
Yes, because even if Salernitana wins this game, it might not be enough. They might be already relegated. But this is a great chance for Frosinone because Udinese and Empoli, who are above them in the league, both play away. And if Frosinone wins early, they put a lot of pressure on them. Yes, the last 4 games for Frosinone, all draws. No wins in 12 for the home team, but Salernitana haven't won a game in 15 match days. Recently, 2 clean sheets for Frosinone. I think they're taking a little bit more careful approach now that, there's the business end of the season. They weren't really troubled by Torino, by the way. Expected goals for Torino, 0.52. Normally, Frosinone scores at home, only failed to score 3 times. And against the fellow struggling teams, they always score 2 or more, apart from the 1-1 against Lecce. So you could trust Frosinone to score a couple of goals. Only 4 home games for Frosinone have been under 2.5. They got the 8th best attack of Serie A, and they need to win because they haven't won a single game away from home, Frosinone. So if they want to be saved, this is a must-win game. Salernitana, only 2 away clean sheets, conceded 11 in the last 3 away games, 36 away goals conceded. The worst away defense, though, is Frosinone. That tells you how important it's for Frosinone to win this game. Look, I'm going to go Asian handicap -1, Frosinone 182. I think they're going to win. If they win just by 1 goal margin, you get your money back.
Well, if they win, they will put in trouble also Verona and Empoli, and they will send Udinese into the bottom 3. No trouble for Lecce or Monza. They are absolutely safe. Great win for Lecce away from home against Sassuolo. They are in great form. 3 wins in the last 5 games. The opposite for Monza, Dani, only 1 point in the last 4 games, but probably Lecce is too favorite if we check the odds.
They are too favorite, and perhaps the odds don't represent really the value and how good these 2 teams are compared to each other. Monza is a stronger team. They've never been threatened with relegation, but when you come into this game, you consider the motivations, what they're playing for. And of course, Lecce are playing for salvation. Monza are saved, but Monza have been saved pretty much since January. Lecce, the change of manager really helped them. 10 points in the last 5 games under Gotti. Only Lazio and Inter have done better in this short period of time. 4 clean sheets in the last 5. Gotti is a team. He's a manager that gets his team very well drilled, very well defense organized. So he has built on one of Lecce's strengths, which is, a mean defense. Best ever moment for the Leccesi. They picked at the right time. They got a partnership up front, Piccoli and Kristovic, two number 9, two out-and-out strikers. They work really well for each other. They give assists to each other, and they really have a lot of shots on target as well, or shots overall. Lecce, I think, are 6th for shots in Serie A. At home, Lecce are strong. They only lost to Verona and Torino of the team outside of the top 3, unbeaten in 2 games. But Monza, coming to this game in the worst streak of the season, they are winless in 4 defeats in the last 9. Against Atalanta, they were a little bit naive. I thought Atalanta were there for the taking, made a lot of changes. They reacted late, and in stoppage time, Monza hit the post with Carboni. It could have been a 2-2. Only lost 2 of the last 8 away games away from home, but average less than a goal per game. It could be an under 2.5 goals, this one. But as I said, Monza, it's winless in 4 games. I don't think they're going to go 5 games without a win. Let's go for a double chance. Asian handicap plus 0.5 for Monza, 183. After all, Monza are the strongest side. Lecce with a draw will be very happy.
And the great game this weekend, although this season is not that great, Juve Milan is not that great.
Friendly.
It's a friendly game indeed. Milan will finish 2nd. They are
thanks to these guys. Thanks to these guys. Otherwise, it would have been great game. But yeah. Nothing.
Juventus, they have in their mind the Coppa Italia final thanks to that late goal scored by Arkadiusz Milik, assisted by Wea. And Milan thinking about Pioli's replacement, the good things and the bad things about this season. Juventus, by the way, only 2 points away from Bologna. They could lose on the 3rd spot. How do you see this one? It's very tricky to bet.
Look, because there is nothing at stake, this game could turn out to be quite spectacular, but not because these teams are in a great moment or in great form, but because I got so many pitfalls. And I think defensively, none of these teams are as good as Inter, for example. The problem is that sometimes in these sort of games, the fear of losing and the fear of adding more misery to a very difficult season prevails, and then often it could be a stalemate. But because I said there is nothing at stake, and up front these 2 teams have got quality, they got talent, it could well be an over 2.5 goals. But let's face it, whoever loses these ones, loses pride, loses the honor. There is no risk Milan and Juventus are not going to qualify for the Champions League because Italy is qualifying 5 teams. So really, it's very difficult to find an angle here. Who's more under pressure, Allegri or Pioli? Well, I think Pioli is already gone. It's a dead man walking. He's going to be replaced for sure. Allegri has got the argument on his side that he has brought Juventus some financial stability because, participating in the Coppa Italia final and next year Super Cup brings 10, 12 millions plus the qualification to the Champions League. So at least he's got an argument on this side. But yeah, as far as a title challenge goes, they've been well below par. Milan, no wins in 4 in all the last competition. Pioli criticized for his choice to play with Leao as false 9 in the derby and leaving Giroud out, not playing Chukwueze. But attacking numbers of Milan are much better than Juve. They score 17 times than Juventus. Juve have only failed to score twice at home this season, but only 5 home games have been over 2.5 goals. It is true they miss a lot of chances, especially at home. Their expected goal differential should be plus 5.62. On the other hand, Milan are without Tomori, Teo Hernandez and Calabria, all suspended, and their away record is awful. 29 goals conceded, only 4 away clean sheets. You might want to look at Vlahovic to score. He's taking the free kicks. By the way, in the last 2 seasons, he is the player that scored more direct free kicks in the Europe top 5 league. So basically, he's the new Pirlo, almost. But I got another one that is very interesting. Juventus have failed to score in 20 games before the break, before the 45 minutes, because often they are cautious, they are remissive, they wait for the other opposition to make the first move, and at home, they've only scored 8 goals in the first half. Milan, on the other hand, is the team that has scored the most away goals in the first half, 17. So why not going, is a very stat-based, I know, on Milan Asian handicap plus 0.25 in the first half, 181, which means if Milan scored the first goal, probably is going to end in a draw, or they're going to win the first half, and you're going to win. If it's a draw, 0-0, you're still going to win half your stake.
Anyway, I saw Vlahovic a bit clumsy, no, in the semi-final against Lazio.
He misses a lot of chances. He just misses chances. It's same in the derby against Torino. He can't. He's yet not a striker of one ball, one goal. He needs 2 or 3 chances to convert. And, you know, sometimes in a game, especially when you play for Juve up front, with this sort of Juve, you only get 1 chance. So if you miss it, that's probably it.
Exactly. Well, he created some chances by his own, but misfiring a lot is not. It hasn't been the best season for Vlahovic, that's for sure. Even if he scored 16 goals, which is acceptable in Serie A. Well, Juventus are in the Coppa Italia final because they were able to knock out Lazio, even if Lazio were very close to this final, thanks to the brace scored by Tati Castellanos. Even he missed a very good chance to score another one. Before that game, they beat Genoa or Salernitana. Danny, they want to qualify for Europe next season. Now without Sarri, maybe they enjoy more playing on a Thursday. Verona got a massive win against Udinese with that stoppage time goal scored by Coppola.
Yes, Lazio, they are repeating what they did last season after getting knocked out of Europe. Last season, after they exited the Conference League, they won 10 out of the last 12 games in the league, and they managed to climb up to second. Now, they only lost 2 in the last 7 in all competitions, and they won 4 out of the last 5 in Serie A. So it clearly says that the squad hasn't been strengthened enough in the summer, and it's difficult for them to cope with 2 competitions at the same time. But against Juve, they deserve to go through. I think they deserve at least to go to extra time. They were very intense. They pressed high up the pitch. They really imposed the rhythm in Juventus. They played Juve 3 times in the space of less than a month, and they won 2 of them and lost 1. But they've been the better teams all over these 3 games. They are pretty consistent at home, Lazio. They drop points against the big teams, but against the small teams, Lazio are quite reliable. By the way, Tudor, against his former club, Verona, the club that launched him into, you know, the big club of managers, and then he went to Marseille, and Verona under Tudor was a high-scoring team. Lazio not quite, but has to be said, Verona with Baroni, the manager is doing an extraordinary job, changed 12 players in January, sold all the big stars, and we all thought they're going to get relegated. Actually, they are there and fighting, and I think they're going to be saved. They don't score many goals away from home, Verona, only 13 away goals, which is the 4th worst record in Serie A. But they got that never say die attitude. Do you remember the games against Milan, against Napoli, against Inter, against Roma? Marginal losses by 2-1. They could have deserved a little bit more. They were there real until the end. Scoring 6 of the last 8 on the road, Verona lost by 2 goals or more only twice this season away. But they've only scored 3 times in first halves away from home. And we know that Lazio, the majority of their home games at home, they've been under 2.5 goals. I'm going to go for a speculative one. Under 1 goal in the first half, 185. Lazio with a few changes, few players returning from injury. Verona, as I mentioned, they don't score a lot in first halves away from home. So if there's only 1 goal in the first 45 minutes, you get your money back. Of course, more than 2 goals, you lose your stake.
Probably Lazio will play conference next season.
Looks like, because Italy can qualify 8 teams. So yes, I think Lazio could play conference, unless, I mean, it's between Lazio and Napoli, really. But there is a potential scenario with even 10 teams playing in Europe. He has to go through Fiorentina, Atalanta, Roma winning the conference. So it could be half of the Serie A playing in Europe, which is going to be a nightmare for the people who are making the fixtures. But it will be really interesting. But 8 for sure, maybe 9. Who knows?
Well, for sure, we will see in the Champions League. Inter, Festa Scudetto, the party of the Scudetto of the second star is going to be on Sunday, 12:30. Inter Torino, after getting the title in style, as you said, Danny, in Milan's house. It's been a brilliant season for Inter, only one defeat at home against Sassuolo. Tell me a little bit before your tip for this game. What are the keys, in your opinion, for this well-deserved Scudetto?
A strong mentality, the character of leaders, the fact that Inter got a lot of self-belief after that final they lost against Manchester City, but not only, a great scouting, a very intelligent way of signing players. Inter have shipped 12 players away in the summer. They lost the likes of Skriniar, Dzeko, Lukaku, Brozovic, Onana. And we thought that the replacement they brought in, they were not quite up to the standards. And actually they were, but also thanks to the manager who has molded them and adapted them to a system that is very unpredictable. The things, when you watch Inter, you see players interchanging positions, everyone being confident on the ball, pushing the line a lot. But also, I think the big star has been Thuram. Nobody believed Thuram would be able to go in double figures this season. Everyone saw him more of as a winger. But having signed him on a free, taking him away from Milan, and he scored 12 goals, which, by the way, 2 in the derby, against Roma, against Napoli, against Lazio. He provoked the own goal against Juventus. So he's been there in the big moments. That's been the decisive factor. Also has to be mentioned, Sommer, 19 clean sheets, have been a great replacement for Onana. After all, Onana is having a poor season at Manchester United, not all fault of their own. So it's been a cohesive effort. But I think, at the helm of everything is the great management, a great recruitment, and a manager that, Inzaghi has taken this group of players into a next level.
Indeed. Well, Danny, the party is going to be at San Siro against Torino. Torino is going to be very difficult for them to qualify for Europe. Still some options. How do you see this one?
Well, look, it's going to be a party atmosphere. The game has been moved to Sunday to allow Inter to have the trophy delivered on the pitch and then have the parade afterwards. So I believe the players are going to be in a joyous state of mind after winning the title in such a fashion. So you might not expect 100% performance from Inter, although playing at home and with no pressure, you also could say the shackles will be over. There will be freedom. They will try to shoot from everywhere, and they'll have a go even more than what they normally do. Inter have only lost 1 game at home this season. Torino is a bad client, I must say, because they kept 15 clean sheets. They average 1 goal per game away from home. But it is true that they failed to score 5 times away from home against top sides, Lazio, Juve, Torino, Fiorentina, Genoa, etc. What happened last weekend at Leverkusen? They needed a stoppage time win against Borussia not to lose. So nobody wants to lose after winning the title, but perhaps they take the foot off the gas just a little bit. Last season, when Napoli won the league, after winning the league, they won 3 of the last 5. Last time Inter were champions, they won 3 of the last 4. So it's not a gimme that Inter are going to throw points away. But it's also true that perhaps this could be recently Inter haven't put teams away with high score lines. If you look from the game after Genoa, there've been a couple of 2-1 win, 1-0, 2-0 against Milan 2-1. So I wouldn't discard Inter conceding here, really. I like the Torino as an handicap plus 1.25, 175, which means if Inter wins the game by 1 goal margin, you win. If they win by 2 goal margin, you lose. If they win by 1 goal margin, of course, you win half a stake.
Okay, Danny, I guess it's going to be also a party atmosphere in the Dallara, Bologna, Udinese, because Bologna, they are very, very close to play Champions League for the very first time in their history. Great win in the Olimpico in Roma. If you haven't watched it yet, go and watch after this video. The goal scored by El Azuzi. What a volley.
Wow, El Azuzi. Wow.
Goal. They were very clinical against Roma because Roma had some chances as well. And Danny, they are playing against Udinese. Udinese could be in the relegation at this time next Sunday. It's only 1 point in the last 4 games for the Friuliani.
And they play tonight. They were recording those 20 minutes against Roma. Those 20 minutes, the Roma didn't want to play this week because that means then they have to play on Sunday against Napoli, so less rest ahead of Leverkusen. Udinese doesn't mind, but Udinese are in such a poor form, only won 2 games in 2024. First game in charge tonight for Cannavaro in Udinese bench, so they replace the manager. Strange choice, going for a manager with no experience in Serie A, that had a bad experience in Serie B with Benevento, and probably the Pozzo family wanted to give a shock to the system and go for somebody new outside of the circle of known managers. But really curious to see what happens with Udinese. Udinese, since they got promoted in 1992 in Serie A, they never been relegated. But this is really a risk for them. And clearly they got players that are much better than the position in the league shows. They should be much higher, the likes of Pereira, Lucca, Bijol. Last season they were doing well, but they become almost the master of draws, and if they draw the next 5 games, I think they're still gonna go down. Udinese have massively underperformed in terms of expected goal. They should have scored 12 goals more, but that means they lacked a little bit of quality, whereas Bologna, they've been magnificent against Roma. They got +8 points on Atalanta, but Atalanta's got a game in hand. The run of fixture for Bologna now gets tougher because they need to play Napoli, they need to play Roma, they need to play Juventus. So really, this is the most winnable games. But in the last 13 games, Bologna only lost 1, and since 21st of February, only Inter got more points in the table than Bologna, also because that defeat for Bologna came against Inter. Now, Bologna had never gone this season 2 consecutive games at home without scoring. The last home game was a 0-0 against Monza. They were unlucky not to score. Expected goals for Bologna was around 277. I think Bologna gonna win this one, and I can't believe the odds for a nation handicap -0.75 are 183. I think Bologna wins this one, and maybe they win it by a couple of goals. So that will be a big win.
Well, perhaps even they can finish the third in this Serie A. It will be nice when we see them next season in the Champions League. Also, Atalanta want to be in the Champions League. Atalanta, Empoli, another team that had a great week. If you hadn't watched also the goal scored by Scamacca, go and watch it.
Did you see the one? Did you see the one that was disallowed in the first half?
No.
It was a thunderbolt from outside the box. Even better. It's such a powerful side. Got disallowed. Yeah, but then the scissor kick, it's a trademark. He's done a few. It's like Ibrahimovic-esque. It reminds Ibrahimovic.
Well, Atalanta semi-finals of the Europa League, Coppa Italia final, still with options to finish 5th and go straight away to the Champions League. They are only 1 point away from Roma. So great season for Gasperini's men, now trying to beat Empoli 3 points away from the bottom 3 thanks to the win against Napoli. We said it, Danny, last week. We don't trust
never trust Napoli.
Never trust Napoli. Next game is a key one for Empoli. They are playing Salernitana.
Yes, and probably Salernitana that's already relegated, but they'll go there. They'll go there to Bergamo and fight. Of course, they were hardly troubled by Napoli. I must say, they were show more purpose, especially in the first half. Napoli didn't trouble them. I think Empoli were worth winners, although they got the worst attack of Serie A, 26 goals scored against Serie A Salernitana. Like Salernitana, they got 16 more points in the table than Salernitana. They are more solid, basically. Empoli can win 1-0. Salernitana can't. Only 2 wins for Empoli since March and just 1 clean sheet in the last 10. But if you look at the recent results away from home and at home, they never got trashed, neither by Inter, Milan, or Bologna. So they're going to be there and going to be really compact and hard to beat. Atalanta in a magnificent state of form. A team that goes to Anfield and scored 3 against Liverpool, although the scoreline may be a little bit generous for them, cannot be underestimated. Gasperini is managing the rotations well. Against Monza, we're a touch lucky, but they could qualify for the Champions League in many different ways. They could finish 5th, they could win the Europa League and qualify. So don't be surprised if Atalanta plays in Europe's top competition. And in that final against Juve, it's really 50-50, or actually 51% Atalanta at the moment. Only failed to score once at home, Atalanta, and they beat 2-0 Cagliari, Lecce, Frosinone, Udinese, Sassuolo. So it could be a win 2-0 for Atalanta. I go for under 3 goals, 173, because I think there are going to be changes to this one. And sometimes Atalanta might go through phases where they produce a lot and don't score. But I think it's going to be an Atalanta win.
Well, Juve are favorites, Danny, according to the
I don't understand why.
The Coppa Italia final, 1.7 and 2.15. For Atalanta, if Atalanta can qualify for the Champions League in many different ways, same as Roma. Napoli-Roma, Derby del Sole, second defeat in Serie A for Daniele De Rossi. Missed so many chances, we have to say. And the calendar, Danny, I was checking the schedule for Roma, is so tough. They have Leverkusen in the Europa League semifinals. They have Juventus next. They have Atalanta also in Serie A. So it's going to be big test after big test for Daniele De Rossi. Perhaps the easiest one is in the Maradona, because they've been so poor, especially at home this season, Napoli.
This is a real test in the next 2 weeks of De Rossi man management, because really Roma season has been positive so far, but everything is going to be decided in the next fortnight. Champions League qualification, Europa League potentially final, so big games here. And Roma, yes, they've been handed a bad hand by the Italian FA, because they're playing this game in Udine tonight, which they didn't want to play and have it later on. So they seem very nervous against Bologna. I think that nervousness kind of filtered through the players. They got 5 bookings against Bologna. There were a lot of protests, and they lost a little bit of tactical shape. They lost a little bit of head, which they were very good at keeping, especially in those 2 games against Milan. Look, it can be understandable losing against Bologna. I know it was a home defeat, but Bologna are such a good team and in such a good moment. You can understand why they lost it. Only 2 defeats in 12 league games for Roma. They only failed to score 4 times away from home this season. And Napoli against Empoli, I mean, again, they continue to concede cheap goals. Cross, header, goal. There must be at least 7 or 8 goals, always the same, with a striker in between the 2 center backs. They got no cutting edge. They scored 29 goals less than Inter. Do you know who's the first team for possession in Italy? Napoli. They keep the ball basically for nothing. They miss a lot of chances. In the first half against Empoli, they had 71% possession, only 1 shot. Empoli had 6. No clean sheet in the last 12 for Napoli, only 1 win in 6 in the last competition. They look to depend too much from the individuals, from Osimhen, from Kvaratskhelia, Politano, etc. Roma are more of a collective, and I think tactically they are better drilled. And you're right to mention that this is probably the easiest of the lot for Roma, because Napoli at home are 11th in the table. They score less goals than Cagliari. Both teams to score for me, 180. Now, both teams to score would have been a winning bet in 12 out of 16 Napoli's home games in Serie A. 180, both teams to score.
Great game. Napoli, Roma to win is 4.10. Danny, I think it's
too much.
Highlighting this. If someone
I think even the Asian handicap, on the Asian handicap market, 0 for Roma, you get around 2. I think it's worth a shot. Napoli been so poor at home. They defeated only Juventus of the big sides. I think it's worth a shot.
Indeed, really good odds to back Daniele De Rossi's team. On Sunday, last game is Fiorentina-Sassuolo. Fiorentina still can hope for a European finish in the Serie A, but of course they are disappointed by the game in Coppa Italia against Atalanta, and they are thinking in the Conference Cup semifinals against Bruges. Sassuolo, Danny, look doomed. They missed chances against Milan and Salernitana, taking 2 goals advantage, and they were defeated 3-0 at home against Lecce.
Sassuolo 65 goal conceded, 2nd worst defense. The calendar is terrible. Inter, Genoa, Cagliari at home, and Lazio at the Olimpico. They conceded 8 in the last 3 games, no away clean sheets, no away wins, no away clean sheets. I know they score, they are a scoring side. They average more than 1 goal per game away from home with such a leaky defense. And I was expecting to put a bit more of a fight against Lecce, but they didn't. Fiorentina, look, they made a lot of changes to prepare for the semi-final against Atalanta. They play with the reserves against Salernitana. It worked. But against Atalanta, again, they got unpicked, always making the same mistakes. They were down to 10 men with the 45 minutes to go. Why playing such a high line when you don't have so many quick defenders? Milenkovic was sent off. They managed to equalize, but then conceded the second. You know, it looks like a team still very unable to manage games. And what I don't understand about Fiorentina, there are games where they produce a lot, and don't score. They don't all. I mean, it takes them an awful lot of football to produce clear-cut chances. On the other hand, there are games where they seem they can score 3 or 4 goals, but they never been solid at the back this season and previous season under Italiano. It's very difficult to pick Fiorentina out. Really, I go for under 3 goals, 178. Maybe a stats that could help you. Fiorentina are the team that score more header goals in Serie A, 19. They also score 1 goal, a header goal with Martinez Quarta in the semi-final against Sassuolo. Sassuolo defense, it's far from perfect. Maybe goal from a header, goal from a corner. You can find one of these props in some of the bookmakers, but let's stay with under 3 goals, 178.
Well, and the last game this match day is on Monday. Genoa Cagliari, 2 newly promoted teams that have overperformed this season without any doubt.
Yes.
Cagliari 4 points away from Frosinone, almost there, but still they need to get points. Genoa lost to Lazio, but still not in form. We know that at home are strong. Tough one also to call, I guess.
Tough one to call because Genoa didn't deserve to lose against Lazio, and they only lost twice in a row this season, and both times there were top sides involved. So if they lose this one again, they will lose against Lazio and Cagliari, which is something they haven't really done so far. So you could expect Genoa to pick up results, but they only won 5 home games, and all of those 5 wins, 4 of them have been against teams fighting for relegations, like Cagliari, plus a win against Roma. Genoa have been really tough to beat at home and away. They struggle sometimes to convert chances. They miss a couple of chances against Lazio. It's difficult to think they're going to put teams away easily at Marassi. They are saved. Good season overall. Who knows? Maybe Gilardino is going to move to Fiorentina next season. Cagliari, like Lecce, at the moment are the team that have peaked at the right time. Only 1 defeat in the last 9. They scored 2 against Atalanta, Inter, Juventus. So that's obviously credit to them. Worse away attack still with Salernitana, only 11 goals. But they lost by 2 goals or more only 4 times on the road. I don't see them losing by more than 3 goals here. A bit of a bad news for Cagliari. They are without Luvumbu, who's produced the penalty against Juventus. It was really a thorn on Juve's side last Friday. Quick striker, could have had some joy against the Genoa defenders. Both to score, no. 186. Could be a draw this one, or maybe just a 1-0 win for the home side.
Well, Danny, thanks for your tips. Tell me your safe bet.
The Friday game, Frosinone to win against Salernitana, 152.
ACCA?
3 selection this week. Lecce Monza double chance X2. Juventus Milan, both teams to score. And Bologna to win against Udinese, 552.
Thank you, Danny. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.